What was that reception like when Liquid, What If, and Show Me Your Gratitude dropped in '98?
It was weird because, like I said again, like I was still kind of quiet about it. You know what I mean? Because Raucus is Raucus now, but back then nobody knew who Raucus was, so it wasn't cool to be on Raucus. It wasn't like, yo, I'm on Def Jam.
Right.
You're in. People don't know no better. People are like, who the hell's Raucus back then? We were just a bunch of kids rapping. You know what I'm saying? Like back then, we didn't know that it was gonna become what it became. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it was weird, and also I didn't get a big reception in the U.S. Mostly everything for me happened overseas. Or, but U.S. was a little late on it, and I moved overseas really quick uh, because they were doing paid shows. You know what I'm saying? And you know how it is in the U.S., especially New York City. If you're not the big ticket, everything is for promotion, and they don't want to pay. And I'm like, you know, I'm not trying to be a starving artist. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was fortunate enough to link up with a tour agent that I met in Europe that started getting me out there, and then started getting everybody out there. You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty cool. But as far as like my reception here where I live, I always kind of kept it on the low. Like I never even told people I rap. Still to this day, everybody calls me a rapper, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's the rapper dude." They knew, but I wasn't the rapper on the street. I was just out here with everybody else. You know what I mean?
Right. What was the initial deal behind that Raucus? Was it just for a single, or were you planning on dropping a whole album?
It was a single. It was a single deal. We had talks about dropping more stuff, but they were kind of busy at the time. They were spending money on other artists. You know what I'm saying? And then I just started doing little deals in other places, like with other little record labels and stuff like that. But in all actuality, it was cool and all, but I still was kind of building my craft. You know what I'm saying? As an artist, again, those were my first records that I ever wrote in my life. So I wasn't necessarily sure about what I was putting out because I automatically assumed that, damn, look at this shit, open my shit. I automatically assumed that whoever's in the studio has more experience than I did. So I would kind of just read the room. And if everybody in the room liked the track, I would rap on it, even if it wasn't what I wanted to rap on. You know what I mean?
Right.
So those records that I did, they were cool, but they weren't something that I would have done naturally. Like myself, I was just still kind of a student in the game, and I started more so perfecting my craft, like in the 2000s. Really, was when I really started, finding my voice, my flow. I was able to rap, but I didn't really have uh I didn't really have a vibe back then. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like I could spit, but I was still trying to figure out, who I was. You know what I'm saying? I was still a kid. You know what I mean?
Right. What were some of your most memorable shows early on in New York?
Mm. First show ever at the New Eurekan Boys Cafe. First show ever. The record came out again. Like I said, I never rapped before. These was my first raps, and I had to do my first show. I never performed in my life, and Kweli came through. The only dude I could never get to come through was Mike Zook. So we
Uh,
so we never really got. I never got to do What If in its glory. You know what I'm saying, with everyone. But Scam always showed love. Kweli always showed love. Shabam always showed love. Zook, I think he was a little afraid of the stage or something. But he was around, and Zook was nasty.
right.
I don't know if you remember Mike Zook.
Yeah. What was those tapes that used to come out? Ill something.
The Eddie Ill to DL.
That's it. Yep.
DL was my manager, bro.
Okay.
You see
Okay.
that I said HB and DL?
Right. Right.
That was
Now it's
that was
making
my that,
sense.
that yeah, that was my manager putting out those tapes.
Yeah, I remember him like it yesterday. Actually stole a couple of them, but don't tell nobody.
Dope, dope, dope,
So
dope.
you told me that you went overseas. What part of overseas, and what was life like when you made that transition over there?
Well, the first time I went, I didn't go on any raucous stuff. Uh, Ironically, the first time I went overseas was because they I don't know if you ever heard of a group called Us Three way back then.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
big pop group, Beady Beady
Yeah.
Bop.
Bitty Bop. Yep.
Yeah. Us three was they were auditioning in New York City for a new MC. That Beady Beady Bop guy, something went raw and they kicked him out the group or something. So they were looking for a new MC. So Ant from Lyricist Lounge, you know Lyricist Lounge, big up
Yep.
Lyricist Lounge.
Yep.
You already know. Ant from Lyricist Lounge reached out to me and was like, "Yo, dude, these guys want to meet you." I didn't know it was an audition. He was just like, "Go over there, and these guys want to meet you." So the us three dudes. When I get there, it's a room full of everyone, and everyone who I mentioned in Raucus and everywhere else, and even more, they were all in that room, bro, trying to get trying to get this this little work with us three. And remember, us three was huge. You know, those guys were selling
Right.
the tens of millions of records. Uh, and I didn't even take it serious. Everybody was writing, and you know, us three had that jazzy kind of a thing going, and nobody was really liking it. Like everybody was like, "Oh, I couldn't really." I'm talking about everybody from most to you name it. And everybody's like, "Oh, it was I don't know if I did good." So I was like, "I ain't even writing for this shit. I'm gonna freestyle." You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna go off the dome. And mind you, I wasn't freestyling for long, but I was always a fast learner. And my idol was like Super Nat. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I used to exercise and you know, when you're young, your brain is a sponge, bro, and you can get biz. And I started freestyling off the top, just playing with it, boo, boo, boo. And mind you, I walked in with a big straw hat, like a Dominican dude from, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't take it serious. And before I even walked out the studio, they was like, "Yo, you're the one." And I was like, "All right, whatever, cool." And I left. And when I went home, they were like, "No, you really are the one." And I was on a plane a week later.
Wow.
Me and a Pawnee B Fly. They picked both of us. It was me and a Pawnee B Fly MC.
Wow. So what did that translate to? You were their lead rapper for a while, or
For a second, I never even made it to a record. It did.
uh
Yeah, it didn't work. I went over there and I was recording there for a while. This is my first time overseas, and I'm in awe. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow. You know, and they, you know, we were working on a few things, and a few things were kind of questionable to me, especially back in those days. You know, we were super hip hop. We had the capes on. You know how we did.
right.
You know what I'm saying? We had the capes on, and you know, they started asking me to get on funny stuff, and I just wasn't agreeing to it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't really like this. I've always been like that. You know, my ear just been somewhere else. But it took me a long time to realize how crazy I am sonically. You know what I'm saying? How dope. You know what I'm saying? Because now, I well, we'll talk about it later. But I have an artist now that for the first time in my life, I need to put my money where my mouth is, and put somebody out that I feel 100% confident in, and that's gonna be a problem. And a lot of people know it because I buzzed a lot of rappers today before a lot of people. You know, I've always, since I was young, I will tune in and I'm like, you guys got to listen to this. I was always like really enthusiastic like that. I loved hip hop. You know what I'm saying? All the way down to the Conways. You know,
Yeah.
I tuned into Conway years ago when they had no social media following. I was like, yo, I don't know what's happening, bro, but this is special. This
Right.
Griselda shit is gonna go. I can't. I've been saying this for years, and mind you, every one of these rappers that I mentioned weren't tuned in with them when I was. So whenever I saw people, I'm buzzing them. Yo, y'all gotta listen to these people. And I've always had that reputation with people that are in big places in the industry as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, people like Jeff Robinson, which is my brother's keeper, Alicia Keys. I've been around people like that. You know what I'm saying? Just consulting and just in studio with people like that, just arranging and not monetizing it. You know what I'm saying? Just
Right.
just not really knowing what I'm doing. But every time I have something to say in the studio, like, you know, it's like, okay, you know, like keep this guy here, you know?
Right.
So I was never working on my own shit. And in all actuality, I'm too big of an artist to ever release my music because I'm that anal. So it got to the point that I now don't like to be a part of the process anymore. because you got to learn how to speak to artists. And I had to learn how to speak to artists being an artist because nobody knew how to tell me what I needed to hear. You know what I'm saying? People don't. An artist is short for artistic. We're all nuts. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Right.
anybody who loves music and does music and is creative in that way, paints. We all big kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, dude, like I said, damn, where we were going with this? I'm sorry about that.
Just us three. What happened with that situation?
Oh yeah, damn, I don't even know why I went all the way over there. But yeah, us three, whatever. It didn't work out. It was some questionable shit, and then I asked to be removed. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, believe it or not, my lawyer was Paul Rosenberg,
Oh wow.
but Eminem Paul.
Right.
So Eminem handled that. I mean, when I Eminem, Paul Rosenberg handled that entire deal for me. So I was on the phone with Paul, and I was like, Paul, this ain't working. And Paul was like, you really can't do it. You really don't like it. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I don't really feel good here. And he was like, say no more. And yo, in a half an hour, he had a fucking car service pick me up and fly me out of London. That's when I found out how much of an animal that dude is. And Eminem is in good hands. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
he got me out of that contract and he got me paid in full.
Wow.
Yeah.
So after that situation, where'd you find yourself?
It worked out for me because during that trip is when I linked with the tour agent. You know what I'm saying? So and he got me back out there. And not only he got me back out there, I was really one of the first people, especially on Rawkus, going overseas. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, how is this happening? Like, it was just kind of weird because honestly, everybody had a stronger song than me. If you ask me, I think my cover sold the record more than anything else. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it was the
Okay.
cover. Um, and I did, and between me and Scam, we designed it. I meant it to do. That's exactly what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to jump off of a fucking wall
Wow
and
factor.
cancel out a whole entire wall of records. It needs to cancel everything out and draw you to it and walk towards it, and it worked. So I think it was that. You know what I'm saying? But what's it called? The Us Street thing didn't work, and I was just randomly hanging out there one day, and I was in Camden Town in London in a cool burger spot that was out there. I don't know if it's still there now. And there was a hip hop kid there, and I could tell, you know what it is. And I'm looking at him, and I'm there by myself. We start chopping it up. He's hip hop. We introduce myself, and when I tell him my name, he's like, "Oh shit, like you're L-Fudge," and I'm like, "What?" He fucking knew who I was, so that blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a whole nother country, and mind you, no social media. The world is tiny now. Back then, it was huge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't know what the hell was happening on that side of the earth. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Now, with these 4K cameras, you don't know if somebody's in India or in fucking the Taj Mahal. You know what I'm saying? But fucking so yeah, the kid knew my name and he was like, yo, dude, I want to take you somewhere. And that was a chain reaction. He took me to a record store, and when it was called Mr. Bongos. Mr. Bongos in London was like the equivalent of Fat Beats in NYC. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the vinyl spot. So once I walk in there for the first time, I fucking I see my record on the wall, just as I said. It was on the wall. They had it hanging like art. So I was like, oh shit. So this is blowing my mind. When I see the shit, I tell the guy, I'm like, yo, that's my record. It just turned into a impromptu fucking impromptu fucking what you call that shit, open mic. The shit got packed and I ran it, and then the tour agent was just so happened to attend, and yo, from there he told me he'll have me back in like 3-4 months, and I was back in 3-4 months doing I was touring all over Europe, and it kind of opened the door, the floodgate for, you know, Europe and the whole New York underground scene.
Right.
So that's when everybody started flying out there, and you know what I'm saying, and it was pretty dope, and they were paying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?